Hello friends, in this video I'll be discussing about the microbiology of Clostridium botulinum. So let us begin with Clostridium botulinum. So Clostridium botulinum, we have already a one video. I have discussed all the basics about the Clostridium. So here I will be taking the second bacteria of that Clostridium, that is Clostridium botulinum. Okay, let me write at a separate place so that Clostridium. So see guys, Clostridium botulinum is basically a dash organism. It is a gram positive. Gram positive, like you say G, same gram positive. It forms spore forming positive anaerobic rod. Anaerobic rod. Fine. I hope you remember the redox potential, isn't it? So remember, it requires a low redox potential to grow. It requires a low redox potential to grow. Okay, write the way I'm writing. Okay, low redox potential to grow. So it can grow in food, can grow in tissue. Okay. And if you want to find the spores, these spores are present in, let me make the color of the soil here. So spores which are found in soil and dust. Okay. If you try to heat these spores, if you try to heat these spores of Clostridium botulinum, if you heat them, they are highly resistant to heat and drying. That is, they can survive in these extreme conditions. Okay. Now, if you start giving them moist environment, what will happen? Or if you decrease the acidity of that environment, that is, it's not that much acidic, the spores of these Clostridium botulinum will start germinating. They will start germinating. And they will form vegetative cells. Okay, this is the general description of this Clostridium botulinum. Sorry, we have discussed already all the basic details. I think we have already discussed the basic details in the video of Clostridium tetani. So you have to watch that video if it's uploaded on the YouTube or not. Okay. Now, which disease it is causing? It is causing what? It causes botulism. What? Botulism. So the disease it is causing is, so the disease which is caused by it is botulism. Okay. Now, to understand its pathogenesis, first you should understand that C. botulinum is a non-invasive rod-shaped bacilli. It's a non-invasive. So you should remember first it's a non-invasive. And the disease which it is causing, this botulism, is because of a powerful neurotoxin. The disease which it is causing is because of powerful neurotoxin. This neurotoxin is called Bt toxin. Bt means botulinum toxin. Okay. And this can, what? This is lethal. Kill you. This is how you remember, isn't it? Because you keep uttering these words in everyday life, isn't it? Kill you, miss you, isn't it? So I wrote like in that way. Okay. Which serotypes it has? So serotypes of CBOT. I remember in short CBOT. Okay. So you write A, B, C, D like you have used to see in your lower kindergarten. A, B, C, but C has C1, C2, D, E, F, G. These are the serotypes. Okay. Sir, which of the following can produce neurotoxin? All can produce neurotoxin. All can produce neurotoxin. But this C2 will be producing enterotoxin. All can produce neurotoxin. Listen to my word. But C2 produces enterotoxin. Okay, so C2 is an exception. C2 is an exception. C2 is an exception. C2 serotype is an exception. Okay, easy. What is happening is this BT, it's not produced like it's synthesized. It's produced intracellularly. This BT toxin is produced intracellularly. It is produced intracellularly. Okay, not secreted. Not secreted, guys. Not secreted. But it can appear outside your body, outside that cell. It can appear only when this cell will get killed. Definitely, sir, it's a common sense. It's a common sense. If I have a cell and I am producing inside a factory of what? These toxins, BT toxins. So definitely, sir, when I kill my cell, these will leak out from the cell and will come into the blood circulation. Are we clear? So this autolysis, it's only after the autolysis that you will be appreciating the BT toxin outside. Okay. Is there any doubt? So what is it doing is these vegetative, do we remember the vegetative cells which I said to you? Germinating vegetative cells, what they will do? They will be producing an exotoxin, a potent exotoxin that is called botulinum neurotoxin. Now this botulinum neurotoxin will be absorbed, will go into the GI tract, and from there it will go into the bloodstream. Okay. Stop me where you are not able to understand. Don't tell in the end that who is the queen. Okay. So BT, GI, then goes to blood circulation, because you know from GIT it is the absorptive surface, isn't it? GIT is the absorption. Okay. GIT, it will get absorbed. Now, you know you have neurons in your enterocytes, that is called myoneuronal junction. Myoneuronal junction, isn't it? Myoneuronal junction. Myoneuronal junction. So this myoneuronal junction, what it will do is at this point, when it enters the neurons, it is entering the neurons, guys. It's entering the neurons. Once it enters the neurons, it will start an activity, enzymatic activity, that is called endopeptidase activity. Endopeptidase activity. This endopeptidase activity, it will cleave. Do we remember the production of acetylcholine on the, I have taught you acetylcholine production in the basics of physiology. So you were producing acetylcholine from the cholinergic nerve fibers. Do we remember? So you were producing this acetylcholine from the cholinergic fibers. But this acetylcholine will not be allowed to release by this toxin. So once this toxin comes here, it won't allow the acetylcholine to come to this junction. So now you tell me, will the patient go into paralysis? Yes or no? Will the patient go into paralysis because he is not having acetylcholine to do contraction? So will it cause flaccid muscle paralysis? Will it cause flaccid muscle paralysis, guys? Who is having a doubt understanding this concept? So so that means this BT was a prototoxin. Can I say it was an inactivated toxin, and after the action of proteolytic enzymes, endopeptidase activity, will it become active? Will it block the, so what is the mechanism by which it is causing the disease, flaccid paralysis? You should answer me only one word. Blocks the release of acetylcholine. The word is release. We already have produced these vesicles. We just have to bring them out in the neuromuscular junction on the receptors, nicotinic receptors. But we are not able to. Are we people sleeping or not? True or false? Are we people sleeping or not? False. Okay, false. So flaccid paralysis will be happening. Okay. So can you see, can I use this as a doctor? As a doctor, can I think, because we doctors do everything evidence-based medicine. Whatever we see, we do. We have evidence, we go for it. Can I use this thing, this property in patients who have spasm, who have excess of acetylcholine present on the neuromuscular junction, so that I don't allow more of the acetylcholine to come at that neuromuscular, not allowing more contraction of. So can I relieve the strabismus? Can I relieve the spasmodic conditions? Can I relieve the blepharospasms? Can I relieve the myoclonus? Should be on the tip of your tongue. You can relieve all these conditions by using this toxin. So can I have a therapeutic use of this toxin? Can I use BT as a medicine? Can I use BT as a medicine? Yes, sir, definitely you can use. If I have a patient who is already having spasm, I should have everyone's answer yes or no. So if a person is having spasm, so that means I want to relieve that spasm. So I won't allow the acetylcholine to come at the junction. So that means I will prevent the release of acetylcholine at the junction. That means I will be inhibiting the release of acetylcholine at the neuromuscular. That means I will be giving BT toxin, hence treating strabismus, blepharospasm, and myoclonus. So what three things you remember? What three things we remember? Number one, treatment for strabismus. Have you seen strabismus? Those ocular activity, deviated eyes. Okay, we'll be reading more about them in the ophthalmology. Don't worry. So blepharospasm, it is all about a muscle problem due to, can be a nerve-induced problem that we'll be learning later. So blepharospasm, lid spasm. Okay, blepharospasm means lid, eyelid spasm. Okay, myoclonus you have seen. So myoclonus, so we can treat these conditions, Can we understand how we can use them? This is how we can interrelate things. If they ask you what is the mechanism of BT toxin, I want to make it sure what you answer. What is the mechanism of BT toxin? Dash. Beautiful answer. It blocks the acetylcholine release. We have to say release is the word, because if you say it blocks the receptors, the meaning will entirely differ. We are not letting it come out. Are we able to understand? We are not letting it come out. We should write not letting it come out. Release. Yeah, this three lines should be remembered. Inhibit acetylcholine release. Because there are also nicotinic blockers, which we have. Okay. Very nice. So what is this acetylcholine blockage? Is it permanent? No, sir. Is it permanent? Should say yes or no. It's permanent. But action would be short lasting. That means recovery will happen in 2 to 4 months. So that means the neuron is gone. The place where it had blocked that neuron is gone, unless and until a new terminal axon will sprout. Unless and until the new axon terminal will sprout, you won't be having the action. So it will take at least 2 to 4 months to get recovery. So remember, blocking is permanent, but action is short lasting. BT toxin use repeat only names. What's the meaning? I did not get your meaning. Please write it again. BT toxin uses repeat only. What is the meaning of this guy? Yeah, we use it as an anti-spasm. Okay, yeah. So what are the clinical features of the patient? So now we have understood this. So what should be the treatment? before going into treatment, you should know the characteristics. What are the features the patient will show? Okay. So let us write about the clinical features. The clinical features of botulism. Why I always speak botulism? I think it's from my first year I got this habit of speaking things which I can speak. I speak in the same way. Last one, myoclonus, guy. Myoclonus. You can watch pictures of all these on the Google later on. Okay. Everything is in your hand. Every knowledge is just 10 seconds far away from you. Just 10 seconds every knowledge because of internet is just 10 seconds. Don't read everything from internet. Just for images you can go for internet. And please show me that image which you are looking, because maybe they name every image as strabismus and that. So we need to be sure that which strabismus it is. So when you are looking at an image, please confirm with me. Okay. So this the image. Okay. So later on you do that. Okay. Right now we are doing the class. Okay. Uh, so first clinical features. So we have three types of botulism. Again, I am saying botulism. So we have three types of botulism. Botulism. So three types of botulism. We have number one, foodborne botulism. We have wound botulism. We have infant botulism. Okay. Are we writing the notes or we are playing from the outside? We are watching the cars running on the road, or we are watching on the mountains like me, or we are watching the sky, isn't it? So we are playing with notes. Okay, okay. I will ask you the question later. Okay, when you play with notes. Okay. Foodborne botulism. Foodborne botulism. So foodborne botulism is food. Can say adult botulism. Food poisoning. Okay. So food poisoning. Let me write food poisoning. So what happens that a person has taken a contaminated food which already has this toxin, preformed toxin. That thing is called preformed. Like you have homemade canned food. You know, you can that food, homemade canned food. So that has this toxin, homemade canned foods. Okay, that has that preformed toxin in it, and you consume it. First, I will write one line about this. Wound botulism is when your wound is contaminated. You have a wound, you have any sort of a sharp wound, you have a clean wound, for example. No, not cleaned, I can say an incised wound. Okay, so what happens that uh, you get then contaminated with the Clostridium botulinum spores. I told you spores are there. You can produce spores. Vegetative stage, you give it, less acidity. Everything you can understand from the above, isn't it? If you have understood the beginning. So wound botulism will be because of any wound which has been contaminated with the botulinum spores. So what will happen? This patient will come to you. So now, sir, how we will differentiate as a doctor that whether it is a food botulism or wound botulism? Number one, the patient will be having wound. He will give you history of I have a wound somewhere. Second thing, he won't be showing any gastrointestinal features. Why, sir? Why? Why won't he be showing features of gastrointestinal? Because the patient did not took the he was not contaminated with food. He did not eat anything. He did not eat any toxin. So why will he be showing gastrointestinal feature? It was only because of the contamination that he took that food and then he had that gastrointestinal feature. So wound botulism won't be showing. This is how we can differentiate. So wound botulism will not be showing any GI features, gastrointestinal symptoms. Fine, easy. It is easy to understand, isn't it? Infant botulism. Infant botulism is because, remember, we had that song Honey Honey, isn't it? So remember infant honey. Remember, this has been asked so many times in the exam. Honey, sir, which honey? Honeybee, produced by honeybee. Okay, so this honey, what happens if you are giving the honey to an infant? If you are giving if you are giving honey to an infant who is less than 1 year of age, that honey contains spores of Clostridium botulinum, and these spores will go into the intestine of the baby, infant actually, and then these spores will germinate. They will produce the toxin. And what will happen in baby? The baby will go into floppy. This is an important question. Floppy child syndrome. Will you be giving honey to the 1-year-old now? Will you give your honey to your babies? Honey, wow. Yeah. So we have to remain careful. Okay. So at least see, medicine is so beautiful. It is teaching you everything for your life, isn't it? That's why I love medicine. It is removing your sorrows from your life, isn't it? It is tough. It is making you work hard, but yeah, it's worth it. Infant botulism because of the honey. So if they ask you a story, they tell us story. And Abhina is laughing. She is thinking of children. She is not thinking of studies. I can understand what she is thinking, isn't it? So you have to remain cautious, guys. You have to remain cautious, okay? So I'm telling you, because the GIT system of that baby, he is not a superman, okay? He has just came from the world of womb. Okay, he is just 1 year old in this world. Okay, and that too exclusive 6 month breastfeeding is actually suggested, not it is to be done. You have to give exclusively 6 month breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. That baby. Okay, so rest you have 6 months. So you are then doing that, preparing him for the food, weaning process. What is that process called when you are giving him that biscuits and all? I'll be teaching you in the pediatrics. So that is called weaning process. You're giving him little bit biscuits mixed with something. Oh, doing that like your parents used to do for you. Same. That is called weaning. I will be teaching you that. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So she has read about that. Very much interested in these things, isn't it? So this is floppy child syndrome. Floppy child syndrome. So what are the features of floppy child syndrome? Okay. By the way, sir, who will get this food poisoning? Where I will get them? People going to the restaurants, we going for those meat pies, foil wrapped potatoes, all that sort of thing, canned food. So no, contaminated all that. So what will happen? What is the patient showing us? What is the feature? So I forgot to tell you. So the feature will be, in this case, the features will be, people are thinking so many things, isn't it? I can understand what they are thinking. So let us write, let us study. They won't let us study, isn't it? So we have to write, what are the features of the patient presenting to us with this food poisoning? So patient will come with a double vision. He will have diplopia, double vision. He will be showing us, what can we think? Oh, I will say everything about the poisoning. So I should say what? I should say fixed pupils. He will have fixed pupils. Because think of spasm, remember something about spasm, dry mouth. So dry mouth. What else? Dizziness. What else can we write? Constipation. And not to forget the most important thing, that is bilateral, means both-sided bilateral descending paralysis. Bilateral descending paralysis. That's why, in the past also, long time, I think right now being followed in the rural areas, that people cook food for so much long so that every toxin gets killed. Actually, it's not that all will get killed, but yeah, we are actually limiting more. We're getting prevented from so many infections. So that's why, these fast foods and everything has come in the market, and we are, directly consuming in a very less speed. They are cooking, giving you in 15 minutes. What happens? You are not killing the toxins, isn't it? So cooking the food in the right way for right time, steaming it, that's important. It's not that only the food will get ready in 5 minutes and you will eat. There are so many things associated with it. While you are thinking of advantages, you are trying to shorten the time, but remain ready for other consequences also. Okay. So this is double vision, fixed pupil, dry mouth, dizziness, constipation, bilateral descending paralysis. This is what the patient will present to us. What will you give to this patient? Directly give an antitoxin, trivalent equine. You can give a trivalent equine. Let us write the treatment here only for the adult. Trivalent, this is for adult, okay, adult. So this adult poisoning, adult botulism, okay. So trivalent equine means from the horse, antitoxin, okay. And you know that it will take at least 3-4 months. I have told you that those nerve endings will come back again. They will new nerve endings will develop, okay. Yes, they will present to you with these cramps and everything, okay, but mostly these features are there. Double feature, constipation. Definitely when they will be having constipation also, so they will be showing some also, their body will try to propel, so they can, yeah, okay. Very nice question. So wound botulism, uh, there won't be any GI feature, okay. Sir, what about infant botulism? So a 6 year 6 month old baby, some books will be also writing 2 years, so don't worry, okay. So what happens that a person also, it's not only about honey, by the way, I forgot to tell you, it can be also dust particle, okay. A dust came inside and it had that spores. So since the baby, someone was asking, sir, why he is not able to know, why only symptoms in baby? I did not say like that, not symptoms in baby. Baby will have symptoms and adult will also have symptoms. And it also depends on the infective dose of the thing, how much he has taken. Okay. So this baby, since he's immature, he has immature GI flora. He has no immature GI flora, isn't it? He's just a baby, so GI flora is immature. So what will happen? His spores will start germinating in the gut. The baby, his spores will start germinating in the gut, and what will happen? These vegetative cells will become and then will produce a botulinum toxin in the GI tract. Okay, and that's why sometimes we call it toxin infection. Toxi infection. We call it toxi infection. Can we understand? In baby we call it toxi infection. Now this exotoxin will go same. What will it cause in the baby? Sir, same thing, constipation. So in the baby, constipation. What else? Generalized weakness. Generalized weakness, guys. And he will have floppy appearance. What is floppy appearance? Let me write 2 words for you to remember. Floppy appearance means he will be having loss of head control and loss of limb control. Loss of limb control. This is called floppy baby. We had a famous mnemonic to remember floppy baby also, and I will be telling you in the later on, but first try to study it, okay. Don't fall into trap of mnemonics, otherwise how many mnemonics will you remember for your exam also, okay. So understand things by concepts. Yeah, exactly. So understand things by concepts, okay. Understand things by concepts. There is no need to write mnemonics and remember, everything comes with logic, okay. See, if you see this baby, if you want to save this baby, what you will do once you diagnose him, you will be also checking his respiratory arrest, because we don't want his respiration to get paralyzed, because respiration is also done by muscles, okay. So we will be checking his respiratory status, okay. So we'll be checking his respiratory status also. So because we know we don't want respiration to get stopped, because he will die, but it won't kill this baby. Mostly it has been seen it's not fatal, okay. Recovery will take time, and if you want to speed the recovery completely, you will use recombinant human antitoxin. Recombinant human antitoxin, and also supportive treatment. Don't give antibiotics, guys. Don't give antibiotics. It's contraindicated. Don't become extraordinary genius. We have seen what happens last in the ending end. You kill the patient, this small angel. Okay, if you don't know anything about anything, never try to treat a patient. Try to refer him to the senior. Never touch. If you don't know, you don't have a right to treat. Definitely. That's a promise. Okay, and also avoid honey in the babies. That's what you can do the best. Is there only honey present in the world? There are so many things to make him eat. Okay, so this is what I think important is. So in floppy, so we will have extreme weakness. We will have even the baby will not be able to suck the feed actually, not food. Recombinant human antitoxin, Hassan, antitoxin. So he will also have, the baby won't be able to suck because he's breastfeeding. So mother will feel he is not able to do suckling. Yeah. Can we understand? So he has his suck and swallow will be no. There will be a incompetence that he won't be able to. His voice will be also weakened. He will have that extreme weakness. So these all are the features of floppy child syndrome. Okay. He will also have ptosis. Ptosis you can also write. Okay. So I hope you have understood this clinical and all that. So if someone tells you what are the 5 features, so we remember 5 D's about. So remember, let's take a sparkle pen. So 5 D's about botulism. 5 D's, 5 D's, 5 symptoms. Remember like this, 5 D's. D for diplopia. Diplopia. D for dysarthria. D for dysphagia. Dysphagia, that means he can't swallow. Dyspnea means he can't breathe. Dyspnea. Breathing insufficiency. Descending flaccid paralysis. Last D is descending flaccid paralysis. Descending flaccid paralysis. Descending flaccid paralysis. Okay, remember his sensory control will be, that won't be affected. Remember that. Sensory defect won't be affected. So where do you, can I make the injection out of it? So can I make an injection, like you say injection in your countries, injection. Can we make injection from this BT toxin? So what is that called? Botulinum toxin A. Do we know Botox name, Botox? Do you know the brand name Botox? Yeah, it is this toxin. Okay. That's why you won't say, sir, why didn't you say in the beginning? Because it's not that we directly start speaking pharmacology. First, you need to understand. So botulinum toxin A. This is called Botox. You treat it for any muscle spasm. Now, can you know if I ask you, do you know the mechanism of this injection? Can you speak to me? If any day, right now in first year only, can you tell me the mechanism, what it does, this injection? Can you, once he is doing that injection, can you understand what he is doing? What will this be doing, this drug? What will this do? You please start writing. I will be writing. You please keep speaking. You write in the text box. I will write. Till that I will write the uses. Layers, blockage. No, blocks release of ACH. This is what I need. This is the perfect need. Perfect answer is blocks the release of ACH. So what will happen? Start writing in your own words. Start writing in your own words. Till that time, I will be writing that. So muscle spasms, hyperhidrosis, you can use it. Hyperhidrosis. Hyperhidrosis means people having excessive sweating. Excessive sweating. Hyperhidrosis. What else? I can use it for muscle spasm, hyperhidrosis, dystonia. Focal dystonia I can write from. So you are not writing the mechanism. I am giving you the time to write the mechanism in the textbook. Till that time I'll be writing the uses. Muscle spasm and cosmetic. People have wrinkles. No, that's a wrong. You are not understanding what I meant. You are writing a different mechanism. No, again, I wanted to make it sure. It is not allowing it to come on the junction. So if I make a neuromuscular junction, that's what I see. This is a neuromuscular junction. This is a neuro and this is a muscle. Okay, this is a neuromuscular junction. Now from this neuromuscular junction, neuron releases acetylcholine. This acetylcholine comes on the muscle fiber. Once it comes on the muscle fiber on the nicotinic receptor, it will cause the muscle contraction. But if I am not allowing it to come, what will happen? No acetylcholine here, no acetylcholine, no acetylcholine, no contraction. Now I tell you what is the mechanism you are seeing. You are talking right now about the acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. I'm not talking about inhibitors like physostigmine, neostigmine, pyridostigmine. That is the mechanism for acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. Right now I'm talking about the release. These are all together different stories. This acetylcholine esterase was degrading the acetylcholine. But if I give a drug which is inhibiting the acetylcholine, that means the acetylcholine will remain for more time on the neuromuscular junction. That I am using for any paralytic scenario. I'm using it for scorpion bite. I'm using it for post-operative paralytic ileus. I'm using for post-operative urinary bladder, isn't it? Atonic bladder, isn't it? So this is the, no, you should understand the difference, guys. Everything is not same, it's different. That's why I focused this release. Release should be the word. You always write the wrong answer in the exam. You write it inhibits the binding. Never. It is not allowing it to release. Binding is a different thing. Binding is blocker. Binding is blocker, guys. Blocker and release is altogether different story. Entirely different story, guys. Are we able to understand now? Will you forget this for life? No, sir. Never, sir. Never, ever. Muscle spasm, hyperhidrosis, focal dystonia. Do you know the people have wrinkles? People have wrinkles on the face and they go to the dermatologist and they tell him, make me what? Make me young. Jennifer Lopez. Isn't it? Back to December. So no, back to December. What do you say? Young. Isn't it? Cute. So how to make cute? We give cosmetic reduction. Cosmetic reduction, we can use it. We inject it on the facial muscles and the wrinkles get treated. Now girls will remember this always, isn't it? Facial wrinkles. So we are using these. We are using this botulinum as a therapeutic treatment. Okay. So remember at least 3 things about botulinum toxin. So whatever is present in a bottle. So what can be present in a bottle? When, like we used to go outside our hostel, we used to go for eating. So if I want to get any packed canned food, that was also in a bottle form. So food, so juice, so honey, these all can have what? Preformed toxins. Are we able to understand? So this is how you learn. Okay. So how will you diagnose it, by the way? You will be taking that sample. See what you will do. If that is the remaining food, the patient was, he came, you got a call from an ambulance. Okay. So you rush to that spot. Okay. Paramedic is with you, for example. So mostly doctors are not there, but yeah, paramedics will be taking care. They will say, yeah, while eating this food, he got this paralysis, he was having this abdominal pain and everything. So you can take that food as a, like the CID people take, okay? You take that food, also some sample, and check it in the laboratory whether it was having that toxin. And you can also go for stool, you can go for blood, you can go for vomitus, okay? You can go for vomitus, you can go for blood, you can go for stool and check. And you can even go for the EEG, that is electroencephalogram, because I told you the paralysis and all that. So electroencephalogram you can go and manage the patient accordingly. Okay, supportive treatment. It's not that I will tell you how to treat. That is a point of medicine, third year. Okay, so just remember from microbiology point of view. So I hope you have enjoyed this topic. We have finished the Clostridium, by the way. So take care. See you all in the next lecture. Bye bye.